we're going to go ahead and move to our next presenter from Aquatera Utilities. Thank you again, Kelowna, and welcome Ian Perry. So Ian is the Asset Management and Planning Manager at Aquatera Utilities in Grande Prairie, Alberta. So we're going to head a little further east for this one. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Chris. As I mentioned, my name is Ian Perry with Aquatera Utilities in Grande Prairie, Alberta. And I'm just going to kind of go over today our Cityworks journey and how we got to the point where we felt that reaching out to Esri and Cityworks to do an assessment and roadmap project was kind of our next step in providing some direction for us moving forward. So really quickly about Aquatera Utilities, we are a municipally owned corporation headquartered in Grande Prairie, Alberta. We provide water, wastewater, and solid waste services to Grande Prairie and area, but also we've started to reach out within the province and provide some services to other areas as well. We have 4 shareholders. The City of Grande Prairie is our majority shareholder, the County of Grande Prairie, the Town of Sexsmith, and the Town of Wembley. Next one. So this is our service region here. You can see we're located about 450 kilometers northwest of Edmonton. And we provide, as I mentioned previously, we provide services, contracted services to the town of Manning, which is about 3 hours north of Grande Prairie, hamlet of Grand Cache, town of Hinton, town of Millet as well. And a couple of years ago, we took over Jasper's water and wastewater treatment plant. So we're providing service to for that part of their infrastructure. And just earlier this year, we took over City of Wetaskiwin's water and wastewater network. So that's all the linear assets as well as the vertical assets with their water and wastewater treatment plant. This is a kind of a zoom in on our shareholder region. As you can see, the City of Grande Prairie in the middle there is our majority shareholder. Town of Sexsmith, about 20 kilometers north of Grande Prairie. Town of Wembley, we just took over Wembley in 2019, and they came on as a shareholder at that point, and we provide them with water and wastewater services as well. Then the County of Grande Prairie kind of surrounds the city, they're our second largest shareholder, and we provide service there as well. So really quickly about myself, I graduated from NAIT in 1996, civil engineering technology diploma. I started with the city right out of school and have been here ever since. So Aquatera formed in 2003. So I was part of the utilities department at the time, and I moved with Aquatera to form the utility corporation here in Grande Prairie. My background is mainly in construction. Capital projects, inspections, that kind of stuff. So taking over Cityworks and being part of that project was a bit of a stretch for me, but I'm learning and I have a good team around me, fortunately, which provides a lot of the implementation and behind the scenes work for Aquatera. So here's kind of an outline of our Cityworks journey. When we formed Aquatera, we inherited a legacy system from the City of Grande Prairie that at the time was no longer being supported by the vendor. It wasn't user friendly. It wasn't being used by all departments, and it had poor or no links to GIS. So in the fall of 2017, we reached out to a consulting firm to assist us with developing a list of requirements to develop an expression of interest, just to see what products are out there in the market that could help us out with our CMMS program. We put the EOI out in the fall of 2017. We had 10 submissions came back. We shortlisted that to 4. And in February of 2018, we started our vendor presentations. And those presentations were about 4 to 6 hours each. They were quite lengthy. We had all of our stakeholders at the table, all of our operations teams, our planning and schedulers were there as well, GIS. And we wanted to make sure that when we made the selection that everyone had a voice at the table, every department and they were having input into who we went with. So out of that, vendor selection, March of 2018, it was awarded to Cityworks, and we had a project kickoff a couple months after that in June. Fast forward a year and a half, January 2020 is when we went live with Cityworks. We had been entering some information just prior to that, but the official go live kickoff was January 2020, and that kind of, we spent, we've got where we're at now is we have a couple of years of experience and a couple of years of data under our belt. And then, so that's when we reached out to Cityworks earlier this year, just to help provide some guidance and some direction forward. And that's where the Cityworks assessment and roadmap came into play. So some of the departments that use Cityworks here at Aquatera are distribution collections. So they manage all of our underground linear assets, the water, sewer mains, valves, manholes, assets of that nature. Some of the improvements that we noticed there, we capitalized on there, were moving from paper to tablets. That was a bit of a transition for us because we had a lot of older staff that maybe weren't as skilled with using computers and tablets, but the transition went actually fairly well for the most part. And it gave us the opportunity to record a lot of live data in the field, whereas before we were just we were doing a lot of data collection and entering it into just manual data entry into the system, a few weeks or even months after the fact. They also improved our timesheet reporting because we capture all of our workers' time is entered through work orders, which is integrated with our payroll system. So it saves us makes us a lot more efficient in that area as well. Our water and wastewater treatment plants, I think we're unique in the sense that our water and wastewater treatment plants are located on the same site. So all of our operators out there can operate both systems. So we use Cityworks to manage our vertical assets at both of those locations. We also use it to manage our fleet. We don't have a fleet department per se. Each manager is responsible for the fleet in their area, but we do we track we do all of our pre-trips, track mileage and hours, use that to trigger work orders for maintenance activities, oil changes, CVIPs, whatever's required there. And also, as City Kelowna mentioned about the compliance reporting, we're bound by that as well. So it helps us report on that. And our solid waste department was kind of the last kind of department to get into Cityworks. They've just kind of come on board here within the last year. So that's our landfill and our eco center. And they manage all their work orders, inspections, asset reporting for those sites. The advantage that our solid waste department had is that they weren't using a software program prior to Cityworks. They were using Excel spreadsheets, paper entry, whatever the case might be. So the advantage they had is that when it came to starting with Cityworks, they weren't bringing any what I call kind of baggage forward from an older system where they might say, well, this is the way we did it in our old system. We want to do it this way now. So they were a little bit more open-minded when they came to the table to start using Cityworks. Aquatera Cityworks team here consists of myself. I'm the asset manager, and I'm kind of known as the Cityworks owner. Somebody had to be responsible for it, so I guess that was me. We have an IT analyst who we hired specifically to manage the implementation of this project, and that was actually probably the best decision we made. Fortunately, our executive team at the time saw the need for it, and myself and our IT manager, talked to them about having someone specifically hired to be a Cityworks resource, and that worked out quite well for us. We have 3 maintenance planners. We have one at our distribution collection site and one at our water and wastewater treatment plant. We also have a third person who provides support for those 2 areas from a planning perspective. They are our Cityworks site champions. So when workers in the field have issues or challenges, whether it's with the tablet or Cityworks, or how to create a work order, complete a work order, whatever the case might be, they're kind of our first line of support. And anything that they can't provide support for gets escalated from there. Pardon me. And also under my area is our GIS team. We have 3 members in our GIS team. We have a GIS specialist and 2 technicians. And we've kind of brought them, initially they were just kind of strictly doing GIS, GPS in the field, some drone work for us, but we brought them into the Cityworks kind of support team because Cityworks is so closely linked to GIS. And we needed that extra layer of support to, again, just another layer, a little bit more knowledge than what the maintenance planners have, maybe not as much as the IT analysts, but they could handle a lot of issues, both Cityworks and GIS related, and also could go out in the field if crews needed some help in the field to provide additional support. So, like I said earlier, after we've got a couple of years of data and experience under our belt, we kind of got to a point where we were looking for a little bit of direction, a little bit of assistance. And so, we recognized that we had some areas where we wanted to improve, but maybe weren't sure exactly where to start. So at that point, that's where I reached out to Esri and the Cityworks team for some advice, and we landed on the development of a Cityworks, doing the assessment and developing the roadmap. So the roadmap is divided into kind of each about 6 years of development, starting with year 0 through 5. So year 0 is right, it's 2022. Some of the things that were identified and that we are currently working on is developing an administrator training plan. And we are actually doing some training as we speak in another meeting with Cityworks. So we're doing some respond training right now. We're doing some dashboards and queries as well. So we've kind of got that underway already. Another challenge we had was having our work order instructions, converting those into Cityworks inspections at our treatment plant. We had a lot of work orders in our treatment plant that had the instructions for how to do the work, and the work that should the work that should be identified in an inspection, we had that as an instruction. So we had to go back and make some changes with that, and that's underway, just to get that information into inspections so we can report on it better. We can record readings and provide a little bit of accountability for the worker, that they're actually going through the checklist and identifying areas that parts in the inspection that need to be recorded. Review of internal planning workflows, that's underway as well. We're looking into how we can do things better, how we can leverage the system to do things better as well. And the last thing that we're looking into right now is the Cityworks Outlook integration tool. We've seen some information on that, and our planners are quite keen on how that might help them be able to plan work out moving forward. So year 1, or 2023, looking at developing our data governance standards through the information governance model. So this will give us a chance to define the responsibilities of ownership, rules regarding distribution, sharing of data, updating of key geospatial asset attributes, etc. Also, identify our current asset quality, accuracy, relevance, and completeness. So we'll be working with our GIS team to make sure we have some consistency around that. Also, we're looking at the potential of migrating from Office to Respond in 2023. We're just in the process of getting our super users, or our support team right now, getting some training on that, so we're comfortable with what that's going to look like moving forward. And so there is, we're tentatively looking at maybe migrating some of those users to Respond in 2023. And we need to do a review of our reports inventory. We have an incredible amount of reports that have been generated, and we really need to take a closer look at that to determine the purpose of some of those reports, the value, who's looking at it, are there duplicates, how often is that report being accessed? Those are the kind of questions we need to ask ourselves, because we're really developing quite a substantial inventory there. So that's something we'll obviously look at in 2023 with hopes of streamlining that a little bit. Moving to Respond may help with that a little bit as well. 2024, that's when we'll be looking at establishing a consistent training content for end users. And a lot of that will be developed through user guides. We do have some user guides that we have several right now that currently exist, but we need to make them more accessible to our staff and also consistent in their appearance and approach. So this will help us streamline the onboarding of new employees, or even providing training or training documentation for existing employees who maybe just need a little refresher, or just want to know more about how to use the system effectively. In 2025, we'll be looking into how we can share some of our Cityworks info with our stakeholders, so that would include our shareholders, being able to report on information for our shareholders, potentially contractors and consultants as well. We do a lot of work with external consultants, and there's been some conversation about how to bring them into filling out some of the inspections and work orders and stuff for us through Cityworks, being exposed to Cityworks. Our asset management plans and policies are ongoing, but we do need to formalize those and how those align with some of the stuff, the information we can get out of Cityworks. We need to update our GIS metadata as well, just to create some consistency. This is just going to be especially important as we take on more municipalities, because there's the ones that I mentioned previously, but then there's more coming, because that's a mandate of our company, is to grow our business and do that we provide water and wastewater services. That's what we do well. So we want to expand that out as much as we can. So getting data from other municipalities is challenging, but we need to make sure that we have a consistent form to update our system with that. And the last one on the list here for 2025 is revisit our Navision integration. Navision is our finance software, currently our finance software. So whether Navision's in place in 2025 or not is to be determined, but at the very least, we'll be in a position where we're going to need to integrate with a new finance software. So, and I have a feeling that will happen in 2025 or 2026, potentially. And the last couple of years of the roadmap here, I just kind of combined them into one slide. There's going to be a need to prioritize and plan future integrations, whether that's with finance software or other softwares that come online in the next few years, and also look, maybe there's some other ones out there that maybe we should be looking at implementing as well. And the next thing is exploring the opportunity for treatment plant GIS, bringing those assets online in a format where they can be viewed on a GIS map. Maybe some opportunities there that we'll look to explore by the time we get out to that point. So some of the lessons we learned, I guess, along the way is having the data and user experience. Now that we're at a point where we have a little over 2.5 years of data and experience under our belt. We need to, we're in a spot where we can maybe, we have enough experience with the system that we can maybe look at what Cityworks is going to look like for us, and moving forward. asking for help. That was we got to a point where we were kind of spinning our wheels a little bit, and with direction, and just reaching out to the Cityworks team has always been really good to Aquatera. It was just made sense to ask for their advice, and so the roadmap will give us kind of gives us a chance to kind of hit the reset button to a degree, and help us get some direction, and identify areas where we can improve moving forward. Flexible workflows, that's something that we learned early on, that we needed to be willing to adapt our processes and workflows to the system instead of the other way around, instead of being kind of stuck in the mindset that this is the only way we can do something, and forcing the software to match the way our workflows. It was a concept that we continually tried to mention to our staff, that we need to be open-minded about that and be flexible. And it holds true to today. You kind of take that step back, and you get back in that mindset. But again, the roadmap kind of helps provide a little direction and makes us think about how we're doing our work now, and ways we can be better. And the last lesson learned that I had in there was internal support. We've been, like I mentioned, my background isn't in IT or GIS, but I'm fortunate that we have a pretty strong team here at Aquatera, and we have site champions at each location, which is important for the staff at each site, that they have that person that they can go and talk to and get help from if needed. And if that person can't solve the issue, then we can escalate it to our GIS team, who's getting stronger every day with their knowledge of Cityworks. And we can always escalate it to our IT analyst, who is extremely knowledgeable of Cityworks, and knows the system quite well. One thing we have done with our GIS team is we have them work remotely from the different sites at least a day, or at least a half a day a week. In some cases, it's a full day, just to provide another layer of support for our field staff if they feel the need to, if they're having some challenges, whether it's with Cityworks or GIS, that they have an expert on site for that day that they can go and talk to, and if provide support in the field if need be as well. So, and that's what with the roadmap and moving forward with it, having that internal support team is going to be very important for us in the execution of it. So those are kind of our lessons learned over the last I guess 2.5 years of utilizing Cityworks.